Today we will be talking about how to apply the skill of factoring quadratics to real-world problems. For this year, 2020, this is page 61 in our notebook. Another year it may be a different page, but I do plan on continuing to use these same videos for a while to come anyway. This is day 30 in our Reimagine Time work. So if you'll just put this in your notebook and put this title in your table of contents. Okay, so we're going to apply what we've been doing. This is what would be deemed real-world problems. This would be a problem that you couldn't take your phone and snap photo math and it magically give you the answer. You have to actually know how to use the words within the problem to come up with a problem that photo math would be able to assist you in getting to the correct answer. Now let's look at this. What I like to do when I see this word rectangular, I like to automatically draw a rectangle. I see area 52 square feet. It says the length is 3 feet longer than 4 times the width. So that means I don't know what the width is because it's that from the width. So I don't know what the width is, but I do know, so I put W. I do know the length is 3 feet longer than, so you're going to add 3 feet to whatever the width is multiplied by 4. 3 feet longer than 4 times the width. So I know I have a W for the width, I have a 4W plus 3 for the length, and I know the area is 52 feet squared. My next advice would be to write the formula for area of a rectangle. So the formula is length times width. Fill in what you know for this formula. You know the area is 52. You know the length is 4W plus 3. And you know the width is W. So the first thing that I'm going to do is simplify the left-hand side of my problem. I'm going to distribute this W to both of these terms. So I'm going to have 52 is equal to 4W squared plus 3W. Now up until just recently in Algebra 1 Honors, you have only known how to solve a linear equation. And let me just cover up this 4W squared. So you've only known how to solve an equation when your variable is raised to the first power. It changes when you start having exponents other than 1 for your variable. So we've been solving quadratics recently. Hopefully you remember that the first thing you have to make sure is that your quadratic is equal to 0 and my quadratic is equal to 52. So I'm going to move that 52 to the right by subtracting 52. And then I have this trinomial that I need to try to factor. So I'm going to name my A, B, and C first. A is going to be 4, B is going to be 3, and C is going to be negative 52. I need to find factors of A times C, so that's negative 208. That will give me a sum of positive 3. So I know that I want to multiply two numbers, one positive, one negative, be able to add them together and get 3. So I'm just going down the line. 2 goes into 208 104 times. 3 does not go into 208 because if you add the digits 8 plus 0 plus 2 you get 10, and that's not divisible by 3. 4 will go into 208 52 times. Yes. 5 will not go into 208. I want 16 times negative 13. I'm going to do factoring by grouping. So I'm going to replace 3w with 16w and negative 13w. So I'm actually going to put my 0 on this side. So I'm going to have 4w squared plus 16w minus 13w minus 52. I'll group the first two together, put a plus sign, group the second two together, take out the greatest common factor. I think negative 13 is the greatest common factor. Take out the greatest common factor. It did work. I have w plus 4 times 4w minus 13. I'll do the zero product property. I think I needed a little bit more space, but that's okay. Okay, if I solve this, I've got w equals negative 4. And if I solve this one, I'll just do it right here. I'll have 4w equals 13 divided by 4. My width, I'm going to go ahead and make that a mixed number, is going to be 3 and 1/4. Okay, now, are both of these my answers? I have a width of negative 4 and a width of 3 and 1/4. Is this possible to have a width of negative 4? No. So I know my width is 3 and 1/4 feet. And then to find my length, I'm going to multiply 4 times 3 and 1/4. I'll go ahead and put 13/4. 4 times 13/4 plus 3. 4 times 13/4 would be 52/4, which is 13. So 13 plus 3. So my width is 16. Excuse me, my length is 16. And that's the answer to the first one. Width of 3 and 1/4 and length of 16. Now let's go on to the next one. I see rectangular patio, so I'm going to draw a rectangle. And then I'm going to put 20 square feet. The width is 3 feet less than twice the length. So this time I don't know the length, but I know the width is 3 feet less than twice the length. So my formula is area equals length times width. I will put 20 for the area. I'll put L for L, and 2 times length minus 3. Next I'm going to distribute, so that'd be 2L squared minus 3L. I'm going to subtract 20. So 2L squared minus 3L minus 20. I think I'm just going to make an area model for this one, just to vary it up some. Okay, so I need to multiply and get 2L squared and multiply and get negative 20. So L and 2L. And then to get negative 20, I'm just going to take a wild guess. I don't know if it'll be right. I'm going to put negative 4 and positive 5. So this would be negative 8L. And this would be positive 5L. And I think I got lucky. Negative 8L plus 5L is negative 3L. Yes. So this factors into L minus 4 times 2L plus 5. I'm going to do the zero product property. I'm going to solve those. My lighting isn't the best. So I have a length of 4 and a length of negative 2 1/2. One of those numbers I'm going to have to get rid of because it's not possible. It's not possible to have a length of negative 2 1/2. Okay, so my length is 4, but is that what it's asking for? What is the width? So I've got to find my width. My width is 2 times L, which is 4, minus 3. So the width is going to be 8 minus 3, which is 5 feet. That's my width. Okay, now, looking at the next problem, we're talking about a diver. So here's my cliff. Here's the water. A diver's going to dive, I'll draw me a little guy, off of this cliff into the water. Hopefully you can see that is a quadratic shape. Here's my equation. And it says, how long is the diver in the air? How high out of the water is a diver when he hits the water? How many feet? That's what I always ask. And some people look at me like I'm crazy, and some people get it. Some people get how to do it. Hopefully you thought in your mind 0 feet, and they are 0 feet above the water. Okay, so that means I'm going to replace H with 0. And I'm going to factor. The first thing I always tell my students to do is to factor out a negative 1. I think it's just easier to factor when you know your A value is positive. I want to get negative 12 and 16, and I want to add and get negative 61. Now what will I need to use? I'm going to put 16 and 1 here, 16t and 1t here, and I'm going to put negative 3 and positive 4. Let's see if that'll work, because this multiplies to give me 16t squared, and this would multiply to give me negative 12. Let me see if it would add to give me negative 61. Negative 3 times t is negative 3t, and 16t times 4 is 64t. So 64t and negative 3t is that negative 61t. No, it's positive 61t. So what if I made this a positive 3 and this a negative 4? Would that work? Negative 64 and 3t, is that negative 61t? Yes. So I can go ahead and bring down my factors. 16t plus 3 and t minus 4. Okay, now I'm going to do the zero product property. I have 3 factors, this factor, and this factor. I'm going to set all 3 factors equal to 0. I want to talk about that one factor that I just wrote down. Is this possible? Do you have a variable? If you don't have a variable, then it's not possible. Okay, so that I just toss out. I don't need that negative 1. If I solve this, I'm going to subtract 3. So I'd have 16t equals negative 3. Divide by 16, t will equal negative 3/16. Solve this one, add 4. T will equal 4. So this is 4 seconds, or negative 3/16 of a second. How long is the diver in the air? Well, that would be 4 seconds. The diver is in the air 4 seconds.